members of the Congressional Progressive Caucus are basically pushing for the next Democratic Party chair to make some significant efforts and changes in regard to the way the party operates in order to go back to the Democratic Party's roots in representing working class Americans. As Max Cohen over at Punchbowl News reported this morning, top Progressive Caucus lawmakers, Jayapal, Caesar, Frost, and DeLuzzo are calling for DNC chair candidates to endorse reforms aimed at winning back working class voters, including banning super PACs from spending in Dem primaries and refusing corporate PAC donations to the DNC. Now, Pramila Jayapal, who's currently the head of the Congressional Progressive Caucus, is about to finish her term as the chair, and Texas Congressman Greg Caesar was recently elected to be her successor. Now, they, along with Maxwell Frost and Chris DeLuzio, lay out what they see as the 4 core principles for the next DNC chair. And this all sounds good. They say that they want reform, restructure, and rebrand the party, embrace grassroots donors and reject special interest and dark money, rebuild our multiracial working class base, show recent demonstrated experience of turning around organizations, building large coalitions, and winning elections. So under the first umbrella, the umbrella reform, restructure, and rebrand the party, they say that the new chair should, they do elaborate on this, create an authentic Democratic brand that offers a clear alternative and inclusive vision for how we will make life better for 90% who are struggling in this economy, take on the biggest corporations and wealthiest individuals who have rigged the system, expose Trump's corporate favoritism, and create a clear contrast with Republicans. So I'm gonna pause before I move on to the rest of it. And there are a lot of other details, Cenk, so let's not belabor this first part. What do you think so far in regard to what they want the Democratic chair to represent in order to ensure the Democratic Party represents certain values?
Yeah, I love it. I think it's a great proposal, and credit where credit is due. That's a caucus that I've criticized endlessly before because they wouldn't stand up to their corporate colleagues. Now, having said that, well, proof's always in the pudding, okay? So this is a good statement to put out, but when your colleagues do none of it, are you guys going to rebel, or are you going to go back to bowing your heads? Because in my whole life and experience, all the Progressive Caucus has ever done is bow their heads. So it's a good letter. It's wonderful proposals. I'm here for it. I can't wait to help them make this come true. But my guess is they won't want our help. They won't engage in anything. They'll be elitist. And then at the end of the day, when anybody criticizes their colleagues, they'll get scared to death and then go back to saying, oh, well, of course, we have to trust them. Trust Hakeem, trust Biden, trust everyone.
Well, I mean,
so maybe I'm wrong though. Maybe it's a new Progressive Caucus.
They're not gonna wanna work with you when you say things like that.
Yeah, but my job is to tell the truth. That's what they've done in the past, and we all know that that's what they've done in the past.
Listen.
So that's why I'm saying, hey, brothers and sisters, I love your words, and I liked your words before, but you have to put action behind it. If you think just printing this letter is good enough, but you never challenge any of your colleagues, no, I got bad news for you, not remotely good enough.
Yeah, I agree with you in regard to challenging the colleagues that kind of stand in the way of what they're trying to pursue here. So they argue that the new party chair should also undertake an immediate assessment of the effectiveness of Democratic political consulting practices and businesses and terminate those who have been ineffective and detrimental to the success of our candidates and party. So that's of course touching on the fact that Kamala Harris's campaign raised not $1 but $2 billion really, because the PACs that supported her also raised $1 billion. But her campaign itself raised $1 billion, which was squandered in 3 months on nonsense and on political consultants that gave her terrible advice.
But that's who runs the Democratic Party.
That's true, and
they're never gonna look. Again, if I'm wrong and the Progressive Caucus roars like lions and they get to fire these corrupt consultants and hire progressives, populists, etc., and redirect the party, oh my God, I'm gonna give them all of the credit in the world. I can't wait for that, right? But I would be shocked because they've never done it before.
So the second part of that is expand the diversity of DNC consulting partners focusing on bringing in more consultants to have a demonstrated understanding of populist policies that benefit poor and working class people of every race and geography. I read that second part separately because I don't know what that means and I worry about that. Like introducing more consultants to the mix, I don't think is necessarily gonna be helpful.
No, it's not a bad thing. So remember when Nancy Pelosi made the rule that if you ever work for a progressive, that you'll be canceled forever and ever?
I do remember that.
So what they're saying is, no, those guys were right to begin with, bring them back, right? And that's why they mentioned populace, that's why they mentioned geography, because they're trying to say, look, this isn't just about race or gender or whatever.
No, I didn't think that was what they were referring to. It's diversity of thought.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so look, the letter is nearly perfect. And I come in with this enormous amount of skepticism, as you guys can tell, because of their past actions. But Greg Casera is going to be the new head of the Progressive Caucus, and people generally say good things about him. So maybe he'll go in a new direction, and this is an indication of it. And I would love it, and I'm here for it.
Is that how you say his last name? Casera?
Kassar, I think.
Oh, it's Kassar, okay.
But I'm not sure.
I'm sorry, I've been mispronouncing his last name, I apologize, you're correct. Anyway, let's move forward though. So the second tenet, embrace grassroots donors and reject special interest in dark money, calls for big reforms to how the party operates. They say that the new chair should reinstate the I love this part the most, reinstate the 2008 DNC ban on corporate PAC donations and specifically push to ban super PAC spending in Democratic primaries. Okay. I can't imagine that this will happen. I know that I'm being too cynical, but like I'm being cynical based on recent history and the ineffectiveness of progressives, to be quite frank with you.
Yeah, so look, let me be as generous as I can. So there are two hills to die on, okay? So look, the letter is wonderful and I want every piece of that and I want you to fight 200% for every piece of that. Now, having said that, the two hills that we cannot lose are no super PAC money in the primaries, okay? So the corporate PAC money, the DNC is never gonna turn down, okay? Because they're gonna say, oh my God, we'll lose to the Republicans. Oh my God, how will the consultants all get paid? Now we have to all gorge ourselves with corruption and money. So they're like, that's a super hard battle to win. But within primaries, there's actually no excuse for allowing super PACs. Because, hey, we're just trying to, why wouldn't you want to base it on the grassroots and have the strongest candidate win instead of the richest candidate or the most corrupt candidate? So if they can't win on that, well, then they're not going to win on anything, okay? And so that's litmus test number one. And litmus test number two is what we're getting to next, which is who's going to be the DNC chair.
Yes, I think that's important. So let's talk a little bit about that, because right now the publicly declared candidates for DNC chair are Minnesota Democratic Party Chair Ken Martin, Wisconsin Party Chair Ben Wickler, former Maryland Governor and Social Security Administrator Martin O'Malley, and New York State Senator James Skoufis. Is that how you say Skoufis? Now, progressive strategist Chuck Rocha flirted with a run for DNC chair, but has pulled out. And to the dismay of many on the left, there's also been some speculation that the wildly unpopular Ron Emanuel, former mayor of Chicago, might jump into the mix. He denies that he's gonna jump into the mix, but I don't trust that guy at all. I don't trust anything that comes out of his mouth, so I don't know. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
So look, out of all those guys, the two, and one that's not mentioned in the story for some reason is Ben Wickler. So Ben Wickler.
No, Ben Wickler's mentioned.
Oh, he is, okay, yeah. I didn't see him in the original story. So Wickler has issues. He was a solid progressive, but then in Wisconsin, he kept people off the primary ballots to appease the Biden team. And that's kind of devastating. But if Ben wants to come on and make his case, I'm happy to have it. Ken Martin is an interesting choice. If he wants to come on and make his case, great, I'm happy to have it. But if they don't want to make a case to progressives or the populists, well, then you also have your answer, right? So that means, nah, I don't want to get these tough questions because when I get in, I know I'm going to sell out to the corporate Democrats, right? So now those are the interesting questions. The non-interesting question is Rahm Emanuel. Hell no, under any circumstances. The very epicenter of the cancer of corruption within the Democratic Party. No one services corporate donors better than Rahm Emanuel does. It would be going 100% in the wrong direction. It would just be saying, we hate our base. We're never going to learn any lessons from these elections. He's among the same morons who backed Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden when he was falling apart, Kamala Harris, etc. He will do anything a corporate donor tells him to do. He is the worst possible candidate in the whole country for the DNC chair. He is one of the most establishment politicians of my lifetime. And look, I'm not interested in a DNC run by Rahm Emanuel. I think they'll lose their entire populist base. Like, and they'll say, oh no, we're gonna yell at them. And even though we're taking money from ExxonMobil and Raytheon and all getting rich and having mansions and never doing any of the things that we promised, we're gonna yell at you. How dare you stupid Bernie bro? How dare you go for another populist? No, you're supposed to support our corporate donors, right? Well, that's not gonna work, brother. And it didn't work in 2028, and that's why you lost the election. If they pick Rahm Emanuel, they are planting their flag and saying, we are for corruption, we are never going to change, we will always serve the corporate donors, and we don't mind losing elections. Remember, Rahm Emanuel is on top of everything else, is a giant loser. While he was running the party, we lost 1,000 seats across the nation. 1,000! And the reason the corporate Democrats are backing him anyways, they're like, who cares about losing as long as we all get rich? So give me that corporate cash. Rahm Emanuel is an absolutely, it's such a no that whether we like it or not, it'll force a ton of Democrats to go and vote for populists in another party if you're gonna be this corrupt.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.